both my parents are not educated. I'm like first generation graduate in my family.
Hello, people. Today I have something spectacular for you, which is a combination of tech class and my tech journey. In this episode, we'll be having a conversation with Africa's most celebrated female cybersecurity leader, who also doubles as the current reigning cybersecurity woman of the world. Yeah, I'll leave the rest of the introduction for her to do, but for now, please do subscribe to Tech if you haven't already. Kindly like this video, comment, and share. So, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome the most eloquent, elegant, and confident Confidence Staveley.
Thank you so much, Patricia. I'm so happy to be here, and thank you so much for making sure this happens.
Thank you for showing up too. This has been long coming.
You know.
So, when we talk of Confidence Staveley, when I hear Confidence Staveley, I mean, I have many descriptions that I can give to Confidence Staveley, but thanks be to God, today we have her here in flesh and blood. So we'll allow her to introduce herself.
Okay, so I would say that I'm a relatable cybersecurity leader with a major focus on API security. I'm also a talent developer, and my major place of passion is bringing women into cybersecurity and tech in general. I've gotten so many industry certifications and awards, and I won't want to bore you with them. But generally speaking, I stand out because of my innate communication skills. My ability to break down cybersecurity concepts to audiences of all types is a key thing that stands me out. And I've been part of major global fellowships, and I speak on many global stages as well. So I'm very much a speaker as well, and that's thanks to my communication skills and the work I've also done in the field.
Awesome.
And also, just to add, because I forgot that, I'm the founder of CyberSafe Foundation.
Oh,
as well.
how could we?
How could we have forgotten that?
That's quite a profile. I mean, I always say this, that her profile can fill an entire book, because all these things, if we should break them down, we are not finishing today. Now, take us through your journey from graduating with first class and all that, to becoming this prominent figure in cybersecurity you are now.
I thank you for that reminder, because sometimes I forget the grade I graduated with, and that's something I tell people as well, that school is great, but it's what you make out of it. I've hardly ever had to use my certificates because the work I've historically been able to do has stood out for me and has helped me stand out and helped me with the referrals and all of those things that I require to grow. But just to give us a bit of a backdrop, I started off my journey not knowing I was going to be in tech. I wanted to be a medical doctor. Oh, my parents had sold me the dream of being a medical doctor for so long.
Such brains.
Yeah, that I thought it was my dream. And then what happened was, in my gap year, my parents said, don't be whiling away time here. You know what they say about the devil's workshop, so go on and just go to this computer school and learn how to use computers. And that was the beginning. I got to learn how to use computers like every other person, like word packages and stuff like that. But then I moved a bit further. I started learning how to code in Java, in C, and it was like I was leaving. I felt alive, and I went back to tell my parents that these medical things, you guys, that's what you guys want. But I think I found something that makes my heart miss a bit, and that was tech. And I pitched to them and made them allow me to fulfill my medical degree admission that had just come out, and to pursue a diploma in advanced software development. So that was my first leg in tech. I went on to get a scholarship to do a bachelor's in IT and business information systems, because I've always wanted to do the technical side of tech and also the business and management side of tech. Somehow, I don't know how I figured that would work, but that was quite a very beautiful decision to have made. I mean, in hindsight now. And then from there on, I got another scholarship to do a master's in IT management. It was during my master's that I got to take an elective called cryptography that started me off on my journey on cybersecurity. My mentor became my lecturer in my cryptography class.
Wow.
Yeah, he also became my project supervisor at the time. And then, like I have grown, he has also really grown. Currently, he heads the Wolverhampton Cyber Research Institute that actually really brings out a lot of research that protects the UK's national infrastructure. So that's how much he's grown as well. He was recently recognized by the British government with the MBE award, which is like the biggest royalty award that can be given. So I have grown because of his leadership and his mentorship as well, and really just helping me self-study and stuff like that and grow my career to this point. So I'm very, very grateful to have gotten such support very early in my career.
Yeah. Now, being able to stand up to African parents, it's a skill on its own.
It's a skill. I think that was my first major negotiation. Yeah, it's been my first major negotiation because I just to give your viewers a bit of context. Both my parents are not educated. I'm like first generation graduate in my family. Wow. So imagine your parents, of course, wanting the best for you and not having a model of success in the area you're going to. Because around us, then you can see successful medical doctors. So then you would want your daughter to study medicine, right? And if your daughter talks a lot, you say, you know what? You like the arts, go and be a lawyer, because they could see a lawyer succeeding. Your daughter was great in maths, they'll say, you know what? Or your son was great in maths, because usually it's the boys that they'll ask to do engineering. You say, go and do engineering. But there was no model of success for tech at the time. And it took, I say that my parents, it's not just about me being able to teach, but my parents were very, very brave and courageous to have let me really go on with something that I feel very passionate about. Because like my mother would say, and I held her on to this saying, and I also, this saying has also really, really helped guide me. It's something that along the lines of you cannot outperform a passionate person. Yeah. And so for me, I think that was what helped them make the decision of, okay, we see that she's evidently very passionate. She would definitely do well in that place. Whether or not, even if it was packing excreta that I was passionate about, she would do well in it, So, and then it was tech, and although they could not really understand the dynamics of it, they could see the passion and they were courageous enough. I don't know if I would be as courageous as them as a parent myself, but yeah.
No, you have to be. You have to be. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fair to your children. Now, to the subject that I know most of you are craving for, the CyberSafe Foundation, which we almost forgot about at the beginning. Well, how did this initiative start?
Interesting question, because a lot of people don't know that, before CyberSafe, I was, doing a lot of work on the enterprise side of things in relation to cybersecurity. At the time CyberSafe was founded, I was the country manager for a cybersecurity consulting firm where I was heading a team to deliver cybersecurity services to organizations. But around that time, my mom also became a victim of cybercrime.
Wow.
Yes, so CyberSafe Foundation was born from the need to ensure that we are able to, or rather generally speaking, that people like my mom, or generally speaking people that use technology, are increasingly protected from cybercrime. And what we saw, or what that whole experience opened my mind and my eyes to, was that there was stuff that government was doing to protect people and enterprises, and there was stuff that private sector was also doing to protect enterprises and protect themselves and protect people. But there was still that gap in between what government was doing and what the private sector was doing, and that's where a civil society organization or non-governmental organization like CyberSafe came into view. It bordered around, mass cybersecurity awareness, the talent also, socioeconomic issues like the gender gap as well that I could see. And for us, it was just creating programs that really just plug that gap between what both sectors were doing.
Wow. So let's talk about the activities that you have at CyberSafe right now. What are some of them? I know of cyber girls because I'm a cyber girl.
Hey.
So let's talk about your activities.
So very strongly, even just given the way we started off, we're very focused on the most vulnerable groups of people and organizations, protecting those vulnerable groups. And so one of our major programs is the No Go for MAGA initiative, where we're driving awareness and mainstreaming cyber using very relatable ways to pass on the message. For example, we have an Afrobeat song that you can dance to, but then it's talking about safe passwords, and other
Wow.
best cybersecurity best practices. So you see, with that sort of program, we're able to bring in young people and their creative minds, create very helpful content around cyber, and to just drive awareness across the populace on cybersecurity best practices. And we've seen through this initiative, we've been able to reach millions of people. But that is not just what excites me about Logo for Maga. It's also the fact that we started off being funded, some of our programs being funded under Logo for Maga by the UK government. So we created some assets, to drive awareness. That funding expired with the UK government, but then we had partnership now that we're working on, or what we're doing with the Chief Information Security Officers of financial institutions in Nigeria. And that content or those assets are now passed on to this new campaign, which again speaks to sustainability as well. So that's what I'm very excited about. And I can't talk about something being exciting without mentioning CyberGirls.
I mean,
yeah, so CyberGirls is really dear to my heart because around the time this program actually started, we saw a report that said that although women make up 50% of the population in Africa, we only make up 9% of the cyber workforce.
9%.
And so 9% is abysmal. So I set up with my team, salute to my team because it's a village is taking, right? We set out to really just close that gap, and we started off with girls in Nigeria. We expanded the next year to girls across 7 countries, including Ghana, Kenya, I hope I remember South Africa. We had Rwanda as well. And some other countries. Please forgive me if I don't remember. And then after that, we saw the huge success we were able to record, and then we expanded again to more African countries, just allowing girls from every African country that speaks English to apply. Then we saw a big leap. We had applications from 20,000 people trying to get into 500 seats. And so that was a huge demand. And from there on, we were able to train 500 girls. And that's, for example, where we started describing ourselves as the biggest cybersecurity training and mentorship program for young women on the continent, because that's exactly what it became. We've also seen from there girls come off our program and enjoy 450% increase in their income. It's just been mind-blowing. Girls are now able to get jobs in cyber because, personally, I say this quite a lot, that I don't want women to get jobs because they're women. Yeah. I want women to get jobs because they're skilled for the jobs, and they deserve it. It's exactly what CyberGirls then became set up to do. And then speaking about another project that excites me a lot is the DigiGirls project. For the DigiGirls project, we saw that the cybersecurity is an advanced digital skill, right? So for people to be able to get and understand an advanced digital skill, you have to get basic digital skills in the first place. So we teamed up with the UK government again to fund that training, where we're able to train thousands of women across Nigeria to get that basic digital skill, and then be able to get a living, or maybe get an advanced digital skill after that. We've been able to train tens of thousands of women directly and indirectly. Wow. This is our 3rd cohort, and we've also done something to make it more sustainable. We're now working with hubs in Nigeria, training the people in those hubs to then train women in their communities. The feedback has been phenomenal, and we're very excited about the future.
Wow, that's huge. Can you hit on the direct impact that this has had on Africa, for instance?
I would say first and foremost, it's beginning to position African women as competent and technical enough to take up all sorts of roles in cyber and in the technology space altogether. Again, I've spoken about, for example, the increase in income that our girls typically pick up. Aside that, I've also seen a lot of girls, find vulnerabilities that are find vulnerabilities and have those companies remediate them in a way that keeps the entire ecosystem secure. We've seen that we've been able to also help with plugging the skills gap. So aside the gender gap, the skills gap also exists. And I say very often that the skills gap across the world and in our region is also an opportunity for equity and issues with inequity to actually be fixed. Because when more women are skilled to really close those skills gap, then we would get more women to be hired that will be able to deliver value as well. So we have seen how this has really begun to change things. For example, a recent World Bank report showed that a couple of African countries have picked up in terms of inclusion. Yeah, so that is something that we've been able to achieve. We've also been able to see that with the programs like Cyber Girls, confidence of women and women are inspired to be able to see
A
that,
lot, like me.
yes, to be able to see that they have a place here. Because before now, I mean, it's a male-dominated field. You feel like, you know what, it's a boys' club. I can't fare well there. But with programs like Cyber Girls and seeing other women do this, you're like, okay, I can also do this, right? So that representation is tearing up a revolution. I would call it a revolution because we haven't even started yet, but stirring that water up in such a way that women are taking up careers increasingly in tech.
Wow. Well, with such huge successes, I know there are definitely similar, if not bigger challenges. They are at least close to the successes. So can you hit on some of these challenges that you faced in doing all these things?
I would say one of the major challenges we faced is, a lot of our work is also advocacy, because we need to change the perception of how women are seen. I was in a conference this year. It wasn't a global conference. It wasn't even a regional conference. It was a country-based conference, and someone stood up and asked that, okay, there are very few women in the audience, and then why is that so? That we need to do more to support women to come into cyber. And the moderator in that event picked up the mic and said that women were more interested in taking selfies and creating content than they were in being in cybersecurity. And for me, that was very shocking. I mean, I spoke to the person involved. I couldn't just hold back. Because it really hit me that with all of the challenges women are facing, there are people who are still ignorant of these challenges and will make comments like that. So there are these views and these stereotypes that people that have very strongly told me to my face on Twitter that women do not belong in these technical fields and belong in where emotions are required. Fair. So there are these stereotypes that are, and these views that don't exactly see women as competent enough to deliver value in cyber that are standing in the way of us getting them even into the workforce. So those stereotypes are things that we're fighting. We also have issues of infrastructure. Women are less likely to have access to digital tools, are less likely to be able to afford digital technology as well. And this training that we're having is across multiple countries. We rely on, say, internet connection to be able to have the girls that we're training access our training. If they do not have a computer to learn, how are they going to be able to practice and get their hands-on skills? If they're not able to, purchase internet bundles or even have internet access in the very first place, how would they get training? So that infrastructure gap and infrastructure issue, and we not being able to fund a lot of that and put devices in the hands of girls, of every girl that comes to that program, is a challenge as well. But the very last one, I think that is one of the biggest challenges we have is funding. We've been able to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars this year alone, but the problem is way bigger than that, and we need to raise it in the millions to be able to solve it, be able to put those devices in the hands of our girls. We have girls or women who resign their jobs to face this squarely and be able to learn. We need to be able to resource them to be able to keep their livelihood while they're learning, and a lot of other sides of the interventions that we get to do.
Wow. All of these things, do you believe your international experience has contributed to this perception that you have?
I would say very strongly. I see the world from a very global perspective. And I increasingly also, with my team, design our programs also in that way. For example, our mentors are across four continents intentionally. So you're not just thinking Africa or your country in your mind, because we have girls across 22 African countries, but then you're also thinking, how are my skills global and local at the same time? Cybersecurity is a local problem. Cybersecurity is a regional problem. Cybersecurity is a global problem. So, so being able to see those things from all of those perspectives and even build the programs in a way that reflects global best practices is also something that my international experience also comes in. I'll give you one way that gets to happen. Cyber Girls, for example, is built strongly on feedback, very strongly. I mean, you've gone through the program, you most likely at the end was asked what you think about it. Your mentors are consistently asked to give feedback. And we are consistently asking for feedback from your trainers and all sorts of feedbacks, and giving feedback as well. When you do your coursework, you get some sort of feedback that says this is what you could have done better, this is where you're doing very well. So all of those things, I would say that's just an example, but there are many ways that my international experience, international exposure, really helps to deliver value locally as well.
That's interesting. You've received multiple awards. I can't begin to mention, like, okay, I mentioned a few for you at the beginning. You can go and research for the rest. You've received all these awards and recognitions all over the place. How have those also contributed to this growth?
Like I said earlier, it takes a village to raise the girls that we're raising, and that village was assembled over time, and it's still getting assembled. And when I win these awards, I always say it calls me to a higher place of doing more, wanting to do more, because that's saying well done. But then there's more work to be done, and we know that the reward for good work is more work, right? So that's exactly how I see awards. And for the records, I know there are a lot of awards you get to pay for, but I don't have one that I've ever had to pay for. And so they are structured to be based on merit, and that's why we wear them with pride, because it means I merited them and I got them. But very importantly is the fact that when these awards are given out in the right way, you're able to get some spotlight, some attention to your work that's drawn to your work, that enables people of like minds, people who are looking out for people like you to support, to actually rally around you and support you. And I like to share this example. We recently had a partnership with a very global company that got to hire 6 of our girls. The relationship started off from getting to know about me or meeting me from one of the awards I won. I won Cybersecurity Man of the Year in 2021. And that was where that relationship started off from, and we got to collaborate, and that has led to opportunities for more people. And that opportunity for more people is also leading to more other ripple effects, because the more people are getting to trust us because of that partnership, right? And so I'm saying that to say that spotlight allowed us to be found by that person, that decision maker. That decision maker has now become an evangelist for the work we're doing, because she can clearly see the value we're bringing in and the quality of talent that we are raising. So without that award, possibly maybe there could have been another way, but it just fast tracks things, allows people of like mind to come around you and support you, and that village get assembled at very high quality and assembled in a way that people that really want to help you achieve those goals, the resources, the time, the network begins to grow to enable you to achieve those things. And so I believe that very strongly. That has been one of the major gains, that the awards have helped me open more doors for other people.
Yeah. Keep giving her more awards, please. We want more. Now, to the most interesting part. I call this part the interesting part because I like food.
Oh, yeah.
And I know, I read somewhere, a little bird told me somewhere that Confidence also likes food.
I know.
So, let's move on to the API kitchen. How did this initiative start?
So, for me, I have always wanted to, I always pride myself in being relatable. I've been true to my brand. I'm always communicating things in a way that people can see themselves in those things and also take action. And so when I started seeing, all of what has been happening in API security, the API issues, that lead to security issues as well, and the burst of APIs in the African ecosystem and globally, I just thought it was necessary to begin to create the kind of content that people outside of security can be enabled or empowered enough to understand the place of security in APIs and the use of them. And so I looked around. There was a lot of content, but again, it wasn't really relatable enough for people outside of the security sphere. And I say this a lot, that we as security people like to talk to each other. But the people we need to talk to the most are the people outside. So I just thought about how then do I make this sort of knowledge relatable to people outside? And I thought about it as a woman first and foremost. I'm in a society where people have told me that I belong in the kitchen. I'm not going to argue with them, right? I belong in the kitchen, yes, and everywhere else I want to belong, including the boardroom, right?
Wow.
And so I just wanted to play
punchlines.
I really wanted to play into that, and also drive the fact that I could be many things in one body. I could be the woman in the kitchen who cooks, but I could also be the woman who is skilled and have these technical skills I could share with the world. That's one side. Another key thing is that I also wanted to use that one stone to be able to kill many birds, and the many birds in the sense of we all eat food, even if we may not know how to cook it like I do, right? And so we can all relate to food. Food is something that we all share. There's no one has lived up till now that doesn't eat food, right? You definitely will eat food,
Yeah.
you know. And so I could use food-centric analogies to really share API security best practices, and that's where the food thing really came up. And I knew that it was something that was going to resonate with people, but the rousing applause and welcome that API security, API Kitchen got, I honestly did not think it was going to be that crazy. Like, I had, like, literally so many people who just all of a sudden really want to hear from me, want to hear what I have to say, look out for my next episodes and things like that. And I'm very excited. I'm very thankful to everyone who has supported me throughout.
I mean, that was really creative. When I saw it, like APIs in the kitchen, I'm like, are we going to start cooking and then explaining APIs? So the first episode, like, it was really good. It was really good. So, what more should your viewers expect from you?
So the first season was more introduction to APIs and API security, generally speaking. But my next season will be really concentrating on how to implement API security at scale in the enterprise. So again, unlike the first season, you'll be seeing a lot more guests in the second season. And we're going to be in the kitchen again, you know, just really talking about how do we do this API security thing at scale. You know, so that's what to expect from my next season.
Please do subscribe if you
Yes.
haven't already.
Yes,
API Kitchen. Yes, Internet TV.
Yeah.
So now, from a general perspective, talk about you and the CyberSafe Foundation. What are your future goals and aspirations?
My future goals. I think for the next 5 years, my focus is really on, aside I also have a CISO role, VCISO role, but my focus for the next 5 years is really sitting in the educational space. I'm currently writing a book on API security, so yes, education through the books, through the content I develop and all of that. But very strongly, I'm going to be really doing more to support more women to come into cyber and at scale as well. There are a lot of things we're working on back end, but in the next 5 years, a lot of it will be really on full throttle. I also believe, generally speaking, that the world, needs Africa to step up. We have a very young, we're the continent with the youngest population, right? Our average age on the continent is 30. 30, yes. So we need to really, we need to come up with, we have a strong talent base and we need to serve the world. Yeah. So I also am positioning the work we do and everything we do and supporting the ecosystem to ensure that we make Africa the cyber talent capital of the world. That is something that I really want to see happen in my lifetime, because we have the talent base, we have the people interested, we just need to put our act together.
That's a lot. And I see her like taking charge of almost everything. Now, you're a mother, you're a wife, you are many other things that we've mentioned just a few now. How do you juggle all those things?
That's a very interesting question. And I don't take offense when people ask me that question, because I know people who take offense that, why do you get to ask a woman how she juggles? You ask a man. Please ask me. I like the question because it's not easy, right?
Yeah.
I think that for me, basically, I've never really bought into the idea of balance, work-life balance. I rather buy into the idea of seasons. People have seasons in life, and I've trained myself to recognize the seasons and to actually adapt to those seasons. So there's seasons in my life where, I'm building something new or something is launching, and my work life will maybe more demanding than normal, and I get to work with my stakeholders to support me through that phase. There are some phases as well where my family life has, taken the bulk of my time and attention, and then that gets to happen. But I would say that I've also built a habit of being present. I've also built a habit of some boxes and some routines that really helps me with managing all of that. I also have a strong support of my family. So I use the word stakeholders a lot because they are really like stakeholders in this company that is my life as well. So stakeholders very, very strongly that I get to, have a lot of support from. But very importantly as well, I believe that these seasons need to be managed, and I pace myself as well. So when it's time to rest, believe you me, I'm resting like the world won't burn.
Yeah, like
know?
like you were supposed to be resting today, and
After this, I'm taking off my makeup and I'm going back. But yes, I definitely just really believe in seasons and really going for that. And I think that my life has been designed to be able to help me achieve the goals that I have to achieve, and I'm very grateful for all of the support that I get. Because another key thing lastly I want to mention is that I've also concentrated on growing leaders around me. So I'm leading leaders most of the time, and that really helps me. That really helps me because my team, I can't sing their praise enough. My team has been very great. They've been growing with me in my leadership journey as well. So now I get to see how I'm leading leaders increasingly, and that's very helpful as well.
Wow, that's such a fulfilled life. Do you have any regrets? Any regrets at all in your life?
I don't think I have regrets because I think I've been quite adventurous. I've been very adventurous with the thoughts and the ideas I have. And so maybe if at all there was any regret whatsoever, it's maybe not finding tech early enough. Not stumbling on tech early enough, but that would be maybe something that's the only thing, because I think that I am, and because again I'm not at the peak of my life yet. I am increasingly and just exploring these thoughts that I have, the ideas that I have, and I'm just enjoying every bit of my life.
Enjoying every bit of your life. Now let's move on to the other aspect. I cannot let you off the seat without knowing confidence without tech. So when we are not talking about tech, who is Confidence?
I am the person at home who is so much fun to be around with. Mm-hmm. I like to mother my family. I don't know whatever that means, but yeah, I'm the master planner in my household. Whoa. Yes, I'm planning everything down to budgets.
I mean, yeah. I see that happening.
Yeah. And then I'm the creative person with fun activities as well. But I mean, for fun, I also like to dance. And there are many ways. I used to be part of a burlesque class, so yeah, wow. I like exotic dance, and all sorts of dances, actually. I love dancing.
Interesting. Yeah. I guess we'll be seeing some of her moves in the Afrobeat song soon. So if you could give one advice to an upcoming cybersecurity professional or even a young person trying to figure the life out now, what would that advice be?
I think the advice would just be very simple. It's going to be my mantra, something that's really guided my life, and I wish more people, can pick this up. It's a nursery rhyme, very simple. It goes thus: good, better, best. I will never rest until my good is better and my better are best. I think that if you continuously have that growth mindset and continuously strive to be a better version of yourself tomorrow than you were today and yesterday, you continuously outperform yourself, you continuously reinvent yourself, you continuously grow, and you continuously be a person of value. And that way you are able to get from wherever you are to higher levels continuously. So I would say that spirit of continuously improving self and continuously competing with your best self yesterday is something that would definitely set you apart in whatever field of life, forgetting tech, right? Whatever field of life you are in. And that has been like a guiding force for me. I'm continuously learning. There's no day that goes past that I'm not learning something new. And I set out time to do that. So if you have that mindset, that growth mindset of your good always going for your better and your better always going for your best, and that continues to be like a cycle for you where you never rest on your oars, what would happen is that you will continuously grow and you continuously improve your life.
Well, that is from the most eloquent, Confidence Staveley. Never stop learning. So this has been an interesting conversation, but unfortunately, the episode has to end. I know you want more. We'll find a way to give you more, but until then, we can't promise.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for staying tuned, and thank you, Confidence,
Thank
for
you,
going
Patricia.
out of your way to grant this interview. Please, if you haven't subscribed to Pekutech yet, kindly do so. Thank you. And subscribe to API Kitchen as well. Do like this video, comment, and share. This has been your host, Patricia Ifia. Call me Kasapa, and we are out.